this ranking might surprise you. What is truly the best ride in Magic Kingdom? It might even anger you. We are going to attempt to do this ride ranking scientifically and objectively, y'all. We are basing it on a few factors such as theming and experience, ride system and technology, nostalgia and popularity, accessibility, and must-do-ness. Each attraction is going to be scored on a scale of 1 to 5 per category with a total score of 25. To start off our list, we're here at Astro Orbiter, which is technically in the number 32 spot here in Magic Kingdom. And I know what you're thinking, Emma, you made this list. You only rank that low because you don't like it. Not true. Our whole team has done this science. We've tried to be as objective as possible, and this is a collective idea, not just my own. This one just worked out in my favor. For those who aren't fully aware, Astro Orbiters is a high-in-the-sky rocket ride that takes you round and around and is a kind of a Dumbo-esque ride on top of the People Mover here in Tomorrowland. For theming and experience over here at Astro Orbiters, we're gonna give it a 3. We think it's kind of mid-theming because although the rockets are cute and it's on top of a building, it's not that shockingly impressive. Those are the two coolest things about it. For ride tech, we're giving it a 2. It's cooler tech than like a theater show, but it is a ride and it's one of the more basic ride models that there are. For nostalgia, we're giving it a 2. This one can definitely get longer lines, but despite being on the older side, it really doesn't stand out in nostalgia or popularity. For accessibility, it gets a 3. Even though there's really no height requirement, you do have to be able to climb into these vehicles, and it's not great for those with a fear of heights. For must-do-ness, we gave it a 1. This is not typically a must-do in our opinion. It's just a Dumbo ride on top of the building, and we don't necessarily think that's a must-do in Walt Disney World. With all of these categories being kind of taken into account and our math being done, scientifically, we're giving this one an 11, making it the lowest score of our day and number 32 on our list. Number 31 on our list was a personal attack on me. The science did not science in my favor, but number 31 is Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. And the science is right, just wasn't a personal attack. The Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse is a walk-through attraction here in Adventureland, and it takes place in the home of the Swiss Family Robinson. If you've never seen the movie, it's an old Disney classic that, you know, didn't age well like some of the old Disney classics, but the treehouse still remains here in Adventureland. Now, because I can, I'm gonna walk through the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. This is a choice that I'm making. Everybody probably should not make this choice, even if you can, because this one, there's a lot of stairs, to put it bluntly. So while we're not gonna do everything, we're gonna do a few things just because we can, and I want to. When you're in Magic Kingdom, don't you just wanna do stuff? I'm glad we're starting with this though, because if this was at the top of our list and we had to do it at the end, my legs, it'd be too late. I don't think I could do it. So many stairs. So after our long journey through the Swiss Family Treehouse, I think it's appropriate to go ahead and break down all of the categories. For theming, we're giving this one a 5. The theming is amazing. It's crazy immersive in my opinion, and it feels like you're stepping into the movie. If you've ever seen this movie, I think you'll understand it's pretty accurate representation. Ride tech, the stairs are not really exciting technology, so that one gets a 1. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 2 because your average Disney guest doesn't really care about this movie. It takes a special kind to even know that this movie exists because it's an older one. For accessibility, we're also giving it a 2 because there is very low accessibility because of all these stairs. It's not suitable for anybody with mobility issues, and that makes it not accessible to a huge majority of people. And then finally, for our must-do-ness, it gets a 1. Because it's not a must-do. Even though I love this and I think it's fun and cute and I like the movie, you don't have to do it. You would be okay if you skipped this and you probably wouldn't even notice, as sad as that is. Off topic, but my fiance says I'm a Swissy, like a Swiftie, but with the Swiss Family Robinson. That's something he called, like, outside of this, like when we just come to Disney for fun. I have a problem. Number 30 on our list is this lovely little shack drop off. It's a boat stop that takes you over to this island, which is technically number 30 on the list, Tom Sawyer Island. Tom Sawyer Island is an island that's literally in the middle of Magic Kingdom that's themed after the famous books. The saving grace for this one is the reason it's not dead last is theming. It's totally immersive and it's huge. It's an experience that's like a giant playground for adults. It's really neat. It's not crazy exciting, but it's cool and full of walking paths and just has really good theming, especially if you know anything about the books and the character that is Tom Sawyer. For technology, we're giving it a 1. It's pretty much an island. That's it. Just lots of walking. And there are some simple animatronics that give it that single point, but not tech forward really at all. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 2 because it's the same nostalgia as Swiss Family Robinson. You either know about it or you don't. For accessibility, we're also gonna give it a 2. This is one of the lowest accessibilities on the entire list. Low accessibility to fully experience the entire island. There's stairs, there's wonky paths, there's steep hills, there's caves. I mean, even as someone who doesn't have any disabilities, there are sections of the island that is kind of wonky to walk around. And then for must-dos, this is a 1. This is not anything that we would consider a must-do, even though Quincy and I must come here to feel peace when we are having crazy Magic Kingdom crowd days. It's not a must-do for anyone but literally the 2 of us. Number 29 is one that, even though it holds a good place in my heart, I honestly thought it would be dead last, and that is the Frontierland Shootin' Arcade. Starting us off with our theming, it's starting pretty low with a number 2. It's themed fairly well, but it's definitely on the small side if you guys can see, and it's kind of tucked out of the way, so you can't really find it unless you're really looking for it. It's super easy to pass up, and it's a short experience. For technology, we're giving it a 1. This is as old as arcade game style as you can get. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 2 because the nostalgia aspects come from shooter games. You know, different arcade games, not necessarily the experience itself. For accessibility, this is its 1 saving grace. It gets a 5. Anyone can play this one, anyone can enjoy it. And the game system is set up that people in wheelchairs can pull right up and enjoy the game. For must-do-ness, we're gonna give it a 1 because this is typically not a must-do in our experience, but if you have kiddos who are trying to kill some time and you need a free thing, this is a free thing, and that's what it has. For number 28, I am here by the Car Barn over on Main Street for number 28, which is the Main Street vehicles. The Main Street vehicles allow you to board a vintage horse-drawn trolley, an omnibus, a jitney, or even a fire engine where you can enjoy the view as you're whisked down Main Street and then up the other side. It's really simple, basically just car rides, but they are a Main Street staple, so they had to be ranked. They are considered an attraction. So first, for theming and experience, unfortunately, they're only getting a 2. For experience, though it's basic, it feels a little magical to cruise down Main Street in an old vehicle. For ride system and tech, it also gets a 2. Now, it is a little bit more exciting than just your basic car, but it is still pretty much just a car. For nostalgia and popularity, it does get a 3. Nostalgia is definitely higher as Main Street itself is nostalgic and it's simple, like a simple old-timey horse-drawn carriage or car. Accessibility does get a 4. You do have to be able to transfer out of a wheelchair to enjoy these rides, so unfortunately if you can't do that, you can't enjoy this one. And then finally for must-do-ness, it gets a 1. This is not typically a must-do, even though people do enjoy it. They even cut guest rides off pretty early during the day, so you might not even get the chance to do it if you get here later in the day. Main Street Vehicles gets an overall score of 12. Number 27 brings us into Storybook Circus for the first time, and that is for the Barnstormer. The Barnstormer is a kid-friendly coaster over here in Storybook Circus. It is a smaller ride, but definitely considered one of the coasters here in Walt Disney World. In our first category for theming, they're gonna get a 2. I'm so sorry, Barnstormer. This one definitely feels a little bit more like a basic roller coaster with basic theming, but there are some really cute elements, some goofy theming, and some airplane theming. For the ride system, we're also gonna count this one as a 2. It's pretty basic and it is very short, so nothing is technologically impressive, even though it is cute. For nostalgia, we're gonna give this one a 3. This one is a little bit higher on nostalgia than a lot of people might have assumed, but that's because Goofy is a nostalgic character, and many Disney fans say that this is their first roller coaster. For accessibility, this one gets a 3. There is a height requirement. You must transfer. Plus, the seats are pretty challenging to get in and out of, especially if you're a grown-up. A little bit more difficult. For must-do-ness, we're gonna give this one a 2. This one is a must-do for families with smaller kids. Outside of that, I don't really think this one's a must-do. And that puts Barnstormer with a total score of a whopping 12. I don't think a 12 is half bad. It's lower on the list, but it's not the bottom. Next up is number 26, the Hall of Presidents. This one, I'm not that surprised where it landed, to be honest with you guys. For theming, we're gonna give it a 3. It's a really cool experience, and the theming in the lobby is amazing. There's a lot of historical artifacts, which is really cool in my opinion. For ride system, we only gave this one a 3. It's not a ride, but the animatronics are really cool. And there's 46 robots on stage all at one time, and they just look amazing. If you've ever seen it, they're really cool animatronics. For nostalgia, we're gonna give this one a 2. Nostalgia and popularity is pretty low for the Hall of Presidents. I mean, it's a cool experience, it is educational, but it's not really one that people typically flock to unless it's insanely hot outside and they need some air conditioning, which we always support. For accessibility, this one gets a 5 because anyone can use it, and we think that's really important. And then for must-do-ness, we're gonna give this one a 1. We don't consider this one a must-do, and we don't think that a lot of people consider this one a must-do. So all of that added up is a whopping 14 total points for Hall of Presidents. We've made our way into Adventureland for number 25 on our list, the Magic Carpets of Aladdin. Now this one is similar to some of the others on our list, but we're gonna tell you why this one is significantly lower than rides that are essentially the same. For theming, we're gonna start off with a 3 out of 5. Theming is mid. It's just not our best, but because it's out in Adventureland and that's nice and the carpets are cool, we're gonna give it the 3, but it's just not super immersive. For ride tech, we're gonna give it a 2 out of 5. It's the same ride system as ASTRO Orbiters, so not super impressive. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 3, and there's a little bit of a nostalgia there for Aladdin elements, but the ride in general just kind of tends to feel nostalgic to Disney fans because it's similar to the Dumbo-esque ride. For accessibility, we're giving it a 5 out of 5 because everyone can enjoy this one, which we super appreciate because, again, accessibility is really important. For must-do-ness, we're gonna give this one a 1. Dumbo is much more of a must-do if you wanna ride a ride like this. And it's just not typically one that we think you have to do, especially because of rides like Dumbo. So while this one's cute, especially if you're an Aladdin fan, we just can't give it that high of a score. It's not super unique, and it's the same system as Astro Orbiter, so 14 total points for Aladdin. For number 24, we are back in Tomorrowland with Tomorrowland Speedway, and it doesn't surprise me that it's semi-low on the list for a lot of reasons, which we're fully gonna get into right now. Starting off with theming, we're gonna give Tomorrowland Speedway a 3. The theming is pretty mid, since it's just not super immersive, but the little cars and the longer track make it fun. For ride system, we're giving this one a 2. This is one of the most basic ride systems you can find in Disney World. You're driving a car, and while exciting, pretty normal for a ride system. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a whopping 3. The nostalgia is a little bit higher on this one, and it's still a semi-enjoyed day opening attraction, but it's not overly popular. Typically the wait is about 10 minutes to 45 minutes at absolute maximum, and right now it's about 10. Accessibility for this one is a 4. Most people can enjoy it, but you do need to be able to transfer out of a wheelchair to do so. On the must-do side of things, we're gonna give this one a 2. It's still low on the must-dos, but is more of a straight-up ride, so ride-oriented peeps will probably wanna make this one happen, especially since the wait time is traditionally fairly low. All of these things added up together give Miss Tomorrowland Speedway a whopping 14 on the charts. For number 23, we've come over to Liberty Square to check out the water behind us, and also to check out our 23rd on the list, which is the Liberty Square Riverboat ride. First, theming, we're gonna give her a 4 because it's beautiful and it's historical and it's a real steamship, which is pretty impressive. It's one of the more peaceful experiences in Magic Kingdom. I know that I have had moments where if I get overwhelmed in Magic Kingdom, I head straight here and I just take a nice little boat ride. For the ride system and technology, we're giving this one a 2 because it's just a boat. It's just a boat. It's a steamboat, but it's just a boat. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 3 because the nostalgia is a little bit mid. It's technically, it is historic, and it feels feels like a simpler time, but it's just not as nostalgic as some of the other rides here in Disney World. You also get to pass along some of the scenes that feel very original Magic Kingdom. And if you ride the ride and you check it out, you'll know exactly what we mean when you pass those scenes. For accessibility, we're giving it a 5 because anyone can enjoy this one. And for must-do-ness, we're giving it a 1. It's a time suck, so we typically don't say it's a must-do. I know that when I was growing up, we never did this one. I did not do this one until I was an adult because it does take up a huge amount of your time, especially on busy crowd days. It's just not always worth it. For number 22, I feel like I'm at home because we're talking about the Country Bear Jamboree. The Country Bear Jamboree is a wild and woolly good time. It is a singing show with lots of animatronics here in Frontierland. And it's a lot of fun, although maybe not everyone's favorite, and we're gonna break down why. Starting us off with our theme, per usual, is 3. That's not half bad, out of 5. Feels like you're walking into a southern theater. That's really true. I mean, even on the floor, they have like little bear's claw scratches. It's pretty cool. For technology, we're gonna give this one a 3 because surprisingly, for such an old show, the tech still holds up. There's a lot of bear animatronics and one even comes down from the ceiling. I mean, it's pretty crazy, especially for something that is considered to be an older show. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 4 because this one is very nostalgic. It's one of those iconic Disney attractions for Disney fans, even though it's not super popular. For accessibility, we're giving it a 5 because luckily anyone can enjoy this one, and I think they should. But for must-do-ness, we're gonna give it a 2. It's a classic, so it makes people like me, it makes our must-do list, but it's not like the average park goer's must-do list, so that's why it's only getting a 2. I've made my way into Tomorrowland for number 21, the Carousel of Progress. The Carousel of Progress is a Walt Disney created show here in Tomorrowland. This is one that took place and debuted at the 1964-1965 New York's World Fair, and it is a constantly moving stage show. It's actually the longest, most consistent running one in America because the actors are all animatronics and the story takes you through the turn of the centuries as progress and technology evolves. It's really, really neat. It's a pretty long show, but there's lots of AC and lots of seating. Now to break down our categories, we're going to start with theme and experience, which gets a 3. The theater itself feels a little bit low theme, but the experience and theming elements on the stage, I think, are very well done, and so does our team. The ride system and technology gets a 3. It's a rotating theater and has a number of animatronics and really neat scene elements. The older tech is still pretty impressive also, and I think it holds up. The nostalgia for this one is a 4. That doesn't surprise me at all. This was a World's Fair exhibit. It's one of the original rides that Walt came up with himself back in the 60s, and it's just one that holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Accessibility is a 5 on this one, also not surprising to me. It is accessible to anyone. The must-do-ness of this one is a 3. It's a must-do if you have time, but can definitely be cut in favor of maybe some different rides or maybe some shows that are a little bit more important to you. With all of those categories combined, Carousel of Progress gets an 18, which is pretty good for an older show and older ride that a lot of people skip and maybe don't prioritize when they're here at Disney World. But this one I love, so I think 18 is not half bad. Breaking into the 20s on the list, we are at the Prince Charming Regal Carousel. So for number 20, we're starting with our theming, which we have given a 4. We think it's an absolutely beautiful carousel. It's not really immersive the way that other rides are, but it's in view of Cinderella Castle and there's Disney music playing and it's a historic ride. It is technically older than the Magic Kingdom. The ride system, we gave a 2. It is, after all, just a carousel. Nothing super fancy. You can find these outside of Disney World, so we went with a 2 for this one. For nostalgia though, it earned back quite a few points because it got 5 out of 5. Carousels on their own are nostalgic, but this one has like the Cinderella tie-in and all the Cinderella touches, and it's just kind of classic Disney World. Accessibility, we're gonna give it a number 5 because anyone can enjoy this one, and we think that's really, really important. For must-do-ness, it loses some points back because this one's often skipped. It's a classic carousel that you can ride anywhere, so a lot of people don't feel the need to use up their time on this ride. This is so nice. And just relaxing. I'm not surprised it's not higher on the list, but it is nice. For number 19, I'm in Tomorrowland for Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor is a show here in Tomorrowland where Mike is really going to try to make you laugh because the future of energy is a joke. Literally. They need laughter to be able to fuel Monstropolis. So you and all of your family and friends are supposed to send in jokes and see if you can fill up that laugh tank in this show here in Tomorrowland. For Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor theming and experience, it gets a 4. It's super immersive, and it's like going into the Monsters Inc. universe. And you even get to talk to the monsters. For ride system and technology, it gets a 4. It's just a show, but the technology involved to get the monsters to talk to you is pretty cool, and it's very interactive. For nostalgia, it does get a 3. Monsters Inc. has some nostalgia for some people, but outside of that, the show's pretty middle of the road. For accessibility, it does get a 5, that top score. It's because anyone can enjoy this. For must-do-ness, it gets a 3. This one is considered a must-do if you have time, but we definitely think it's skippable if you want to prioritize other things, just like a lot of the other shows here in Magic Kingdom. Mickey's PHILHARMAGIC is a really cute 12.5-minute show where Mickey is supposed to have a PHILHARMAGIC orchestra concert, but Donald takes his magical hat, things go a little bit awry, and you get to go into the stories of some of your favorite Disney classics. We're starting off our theming with a number 4. There's nice theming. You get to go into a theater. There's the bonus experience of having a lot of Disney characters on screen, and I think it's just cute and cohesive. For the ride system, it gets a 3. It's surprisingly good 3D and 4D effects that make a really captivating show, and some of the smells are genuinely unforgettable. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 4 because there's a ton of Disney nostalgia in this one. Mickey and Donald are both involved, plus a bunch of Disney characters and classic songs that people can sing along with. For accessibility, we're giving this one a 5 because anyone can enjoy it. And for must-do-ness, we're giving it a 3 because we think it's a must-do if you have the time to do it. It's a great midday break, but it's probably not a must-do for everyone, even though it's definitely a must-do for me. So while it is definitely one of my favorite things in Magic Kingdom and it's must-do on my list, even when we do Magic Kingdom top 5s and things, like this is a must-do for me. It's not for everyone, so that's why we are giving this one a score of 19. Not half bad. In my personal opinion, I think this is more of a must-do than our team might agree, but to each their own. We're keeping it scientific. For number 17, we are back in Adventureland at Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, which is a show here and an attraction, and we're going to break down why it's number 17. So to start with Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, for theming, we're going to give this one a 4. It is super involved, old school Disney theming. Like, this is what Disney used to be like on every single attraction. Takes you to an island paradise. It's crazy detailed and something that Disney fans really, really enjoy. For the ride system and technology, we're gonna give it points here for having the first ever animatronics. You heard that right, the first ever. These birds changed history. So we're gonna give it a 3 for ride system and tech. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 5 because it's one of those iconic and cult classics. I mean, it's a Disney attraction that people just adore. Disney fans, this is peak nostalgia for us, especially if you're interested in Disney history. For accessibility, we're giving this one a 5 because anyone can enjoy it, which we really appreciate. And then for must-do-ness, we're gonna give it a 2. This is one of those that you should do every once in a while as a Disney fan, but as an average guest, we don't really think this is a must-do for you guys. If this is your only trip to Disney World, we wouldn't necessarily say this is one you have to do, but if you're a big Disney fan, it's pretty fun. While I love hearing the flowers sing and the birds croon, I get why this is number 17. I get why it's a little bit lower. All of our science added up, everything figured out, it's gonna give it a total of 19 points, which I don't think is half bad for Enchanted Tiki Room. It's definitely a Disney favorite, but it's another one of those you either love it or you probably don't even know about it. Number 16 on our list is the Mad Tea Party, and this is how you guys know we're being scientifically objective because I would have put this in like my top 10. For theming, we're gonna give this one a 3. It is open to Fantasyland, so you can see a lot of things, but it's still very colorful and classic Alice in Wonderland theming. The ride system is not the best or most tech forward, so we're gonna give it a 3, but it is one of those super iconic Disney ride systems, and bonus points for this one because you get to control your ride experience with the spin speed. Like, you guys know, you know me, you know I like to control it. Nostalgia for this one is a 5. It's another super nostalgic classic, and I think of Magic Party when I think of classic Disney World. For accessibility, this one's a 4. You do have to be able to transfer out of a wheelchair to enjoy it. And for must-dos, we're giving this one a 4. This is the highest on our must-do list so far. It can be skipped, but we think it's worth a wait if it's just shorter time to take a spin. All of these things added up is what gives us a whopping 19 for Magic Party. And I don't think that's half bad. Out of the score of 25, I'm pretty pleased with that. And as much as I enjoy it, I'm not that surprised that it's kind of mid-rankings on our list today. I'm back here on Main Street where it all started because we are headed to talk about the Walt Disney World Railroad. The Walt Disney World Railroad is a literal train, or a few trains, that goes around Walt Disney World and kind of gives you a behind the scenes look at some of the different areas of Walt Disney World. Breaking down our theming, we're gonna give this one a 4 out of 5. I mean, it's a literal historic train. Walt Disney loved trains, and to have like a behind the scenes tour of Magic Kingdom is pretty cool. So we're gonna give it points for that experience. For ride system and technology, we're gonna give it a 3. Although it's not advanced, it is a real train that is really relaxing and very historic, so points. For nostalgia, this one's a 5 out of 5, baby. I think one of the most nostalgic ones in all of Disney World. First of all, it's super popular, and it's a way to get around Magic Kingdom with 3 different stops and stations, so very nostalgic. You can ask anyone how they feel about it being closed for the past few years, and they're probably gonna tell you they were semi-disappointed. So then for accessibility, we're gonna give it a 5 because anyone can enjoy this really relaxing and nice train ride. And then for must-dos, we're gonna give it a 3 because it's not necessarily a priority, but it is worth doing, and it's a great way of getting around Magic Kingdom. Space Mountain is one of Disney's most iconic rides in all of Disney World, not just Magic Kingdom. And it is a dark indoor roller coaster that has 2 different tracks that takes you on an absolute race through space. The majority of points that Space Mountain gets is from theming because they made an absolutely iconic ride. People think of Space Mountain when they think of Disney World. And it's a pretty comprehensive theme. It goes inside, outside. They really make sure the theme is throughout the entire ride. The ride system does get a 3. It is a classic roller coaster, but it is a painful and jarring one, depending on how much you like being kind of thrown around. For nostalgia, no question for me. This one gets a 5 out of 5. This one's super nostalgic. It's a Disney classic, and it's an iconic roller coaster. For accessibility, it only gets a 2, unfortunately. There is a height requirement for this one. It is really difficult to get in and out of. I know that I struggle with it. You also need to be able to transfer, and it's hard on people who struggle and have issues with more intense or shaky coasters. So this one is not super accessible and definitely not for everyone. For must-do-ness, we give this one a 5 out of 5. If you're capable of riding it, we think it is absolutely considered a must-do and one that we encourage everyone to do if they're able to when you're in Magic Kingdom. Journey Under the Sea with the Little Mermaid is a slow-moving clamshell ride that takes you through the entire story of the Little Mermaid, and it's very cute, especially if you're a fan of the Little Mermaid film. Very nostalgic, and you get to sing along the whole time. We're gonna start with theming, of course, that's where we always start. And this one is gonna get a whopping 5 out of 5. And that's because The Little Mermaid is a super, super immersive attraction. And it has an extensive theme that they consistently stick with from the moment you enter the queue until you're literally off the ride. The queue is like you're going through Eric's castle. It's really beautiful. There's interactive elements, and there's an animatronic scuttle in the queue. The ride system gets a 4. It's relatively impressive because the animatronics are pretty good. It's classic Disney tech, and bonus points for a super amazing Ursula animatronic. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 4 because these are some of the most classic Disney characters. For accessibility, we're gonna give this one a 5 because anyone can enjoy this one, which we think is very important. And then for must-do-ness, we're gonna give it a 3 because we think it could be skippable, but it's a must-do for kiddos and for Little Mermaid fans. Now focusing on my math, my calculations, that gives Ariel a 21 out of 25. I think that's pretty impressive, especially because this is not necessarily a must-do. I did not realize it would be this high on the list of attractions, but this list continuously surprises me, so this is a pleasant surprise. We've made it to number 12 on our list, one that I kind of lose my mind when I'm here. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I become a different person at this ride. So let's get into why it's number 12. Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin is a really fun, exciting shooting game where you have to help Buzz Lightyear defeat the evil Emperor Zurg. And I don't want to brag, but I'm pretty good at it. I'm a galactic hero. Starting off with theming, we're gonna give this one a 4. It feels very much like you're going into space with Buzz, and the awesome Buzz animatronic in the queue really sets the tone. So as far as ride tech, we're gonna give this one a 4. It's a shooter attraction, it's really interactive, and you can challenge your family and friends. It's not super advanced, but we're gonna give it points for interactivity. For nostalgia, we're gonna give it a 4. Toy Story's pretty nostalgic, and this ride is super popular, usually pretty long lines. When I'm filming this right now, it's a 75-minute wait. For accessibility, we are giving it a 5 out of 5 because anyone can ride this ride. For must-dos, we're giving it a 4 because I think that this is definitely a must-do for people. This one's super fun, very exciting, and frankly, it's just fun to see who's gonna be the best in your group. Now we're getting into a little bit of the nitty-gritty. Small World is our number 11 here in Fantasyland. I think this one might be controversial because Small World is either you love it or you hate it, and we're gonna break down why it's number 11. It's a Small World is a slow-moving boat ride here in Fantasyland that takes you through the different cultures and different songs and different ways of speaking throughout different cultures. It's a Disney classic, and it shows you that it really is just a small world after all. For theming, we're giving this one a 5. That one, no debate for us. This one is incredibly themed with artwork from Mary Blair, who's one of my favorite Imagineers of all time. And she's a genius designer. It's fun, it's colorful, it's immersive, it's beautifully themed. The ride system, we're giving a 3. It is just a boat ride, but there's a lot of really neat animatronics, and they are beautiful for animatronics too. For nostalgia, we're giving this one another 5 because this one is heavy on nostalgia, and it's a really well-known Disney classic. For accessibility, we're giving this one a 5 because anyone can enjoy it, and you guys know that's really important to us. We've talked about it already. We're giving this one a 4 for must-do-ness because some people skip the ride purely because of the song. It is a bit of an earworm, but most people consider it a must-do because it is a Disney classic. Add all of those big numbers up for Small World and you're gonna get a 22. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is the wildest ride in the wilderness. It is an outdoor coaster that takes you on a wild ride. You do have to be a certain height to ride it, and it's in the top 10 of our best rides in Magic Kingdom, and I think you guys are gonna fully understand why. For Big Thunder Mountain, for theming, 5 out of 5, baby. This is an iconic ride building. It's the mountain rising into the sky. There's an interactive queue and a completely comprehensive story, which is amazing. There's also some really good scenes in the attraction too, which we super appreciate. So 5 out of 5 for that one. For ride system and technology, we're gonna give it a 4. This is a classic coaster, but it is a really good one. The coaster itself is considered one of the most fun in Disney World, so we wanted to take that into account. For nostalgia, a 5 out of 5. This one is another highly nostalgic classic. Magic is full of them. For accessibility, unfortunately, this one only gets a 3 because you do have to be able to transfer out of a wheelchair into the ride vehicle, and there is a height requirement for this one. For must-do-ness though, we're giving it a 5. You absolutely must if you are able to ride this one. It is one that we love, and it's even for me personally, one that sometimes I skip and then I go and ride it again and I'm like, oh, why did I skip this earlier? Because it's a classic. Dumbo the Flying Elephant is a really cute flight on Dumbo's back. It's like a spinning ride up in the air. This is a Disney classic, and I know I feel like we've said that a lot, but this one truly is a Disney World staple. Finally, my turn for Dumbo. I felt like you had to ride something, you know, while we're ranking, we might as well. And I see a pretty blue one right over here. Perfect for me. So for Dumbo, no question with theming, it's gonna get a 5 out of 5. The theming and experience is really high for this classic. Oh, here we go. And there's a play area in the queue, and it's all circus themed. So for the ride system, we're gonna give this one a 3. The ride system is the classic. It's the same as Astro Orbiters and Carpets, but it's pretty high because this is the original. This is the OG. For nostalgia, we're gonna give this one a 5. There's no question. It's literally the poster child for Disney attractions. It's no joke. Accessibility, we're gonna give it a 4 because you do need to be able to transfer. And then must-do-ness, 5 out of 5, baby. We think you absolutely have to do this one. This is a must-do in Walt Disney World. Splash Mountain is a turbulent flume adventure with high speeds and pretty big drops. And don't be surprised when you get wet, because you absolutely will. As to start off for Splash Mountain, we're gonna give it a theming score of 5 out of 5. It is a super thorough theme, from the ride building to the queue to the exit. I mean, it's one of those comprehensive stories. While the theming is really comprehensive right now, that's about to change. Starting in January of 2023, Splash Mountain is going to be closing permanently to make way for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But the nature of the ride building kind of implies that this story is going to keep going. So whatever story they have with Tiana, we have a good feeling that it's still going to be pretty amazing theming. For ride technology, we're giving this one a 4. There's nothing that technologically advanced per se, but the fun combination of a long dark ride and a flume ride with some fun animatronics, I mean, it works out well for it. So 4 out of 4 for that one. For nostalgia, this one is a 5. It's another highly nostalgic classic. There are so many in Magic Kingdom. You're probably sick of hearing us say it, but it's just true. There's a lot of controversy around this retheme, and a lot of it has to do with just purely nostalgia. For accessibility, we're gonna give it a 3 because you do need to be able to transfer out of a wheelchair and into the ride, and there is a height requirement, so a lot of people can't enjoy it. For must-do-ness though, we're gonna give it a 5 because if you can, we absolutely think you have to do this ride, especially with it closing soon. And we think you're gonna have to do the new 3 theme because it's brand new. So must-do-ness is probably gonna stay up at a 5. For number 7, we are back in Tomorrowland for the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. Now that's a name. And honestly, I can't lie to you guys, I'm so excited this one is as high on the list as it is. I don't know why I thought it wouldn't be, but once we go through the categories, it all makes sense, but I was pleasantly surprised. The People Mover is a highway in the sky ride over top of Tomorrowland, in and out of different rides and buildings. It's really, really neat. You learn a lot about Tomorrowland and kind of the conception of it, and it's a slow-moving people ride. What more can you ask for? Starting off our categories, of course, is theming and experience, which gets a 4 for People Mover. That's pretty good. It's super relaxing, it's a really neat experience, and it's a very well-themed tour of Tomorrowland. For the ride system, it gets a 4, which is surprising because this one's a little bit older. There's a really high capacity for this ride system, so they can get a lot of people on and off it. And even though it is older, this technology still holds up pretty well. For nostalgia, this gets a whopping 5. That was no surprise to me. It's a cult classic. It is nostalgic. People absolutely love the People Mover. People love to be moved. For accessibility, it gets a 4. The only reason you can't give this one a full 5 is because you do have to be able to transfer out of a wheelchair, but there's no height requirement. For must-do-ness, this one gets a 5. It's no question for our team. People Mover is a must-do when you're in Magic Kingdom, so it gets a 5 out of 5 for that one. For number 6, we are almost at our top 5, but not quite. For number 6, we are here at the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in Fantasyland. Why did I do that? The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is a gentle, slow-moving journey through the 100-acre wood where you see a lot of your friends like Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Kangaroo, Rabbit, a lot of our friends. For the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, they're starting off fairly strong with theming. We gave them a 4 because this one feels like you're going into a literal storybook, and there's an interactive queue. So if you have some kiddos that get a little restless, this is a good cue for them to kind of burn some energy. For the ride system, we're also giving it a 4. It's a classic dark ride. There's a lot of really fun elements where the ride vehicles make you feel like you're bouncing with Tigger or even floating along in the flooding water. For nostalgia, no question for us, this one was a 5 out of 5. Winnie the Pooh and Magic Kingdom dark rides in general are highly nostalgic and super, super popular. For accessibility, we also gave this one a 5 because anyone can enjoy this one. Must-do-ness, we also gave it a 5, which might surprise you guys, but we think this is definitely a must-do. Our entire team agrees because this one is nostalgic, it's fun, and it's cute. We've made it. You guys have held out so strong because we are finally here in the top 5. You realize we've been through so many rides. There are 32 rides. We're here at our number 5. We're breaking into top 5 with the Jungle Cruise. The Jungle Cruise is where you get to take a world-famous tour of several of the jungles throughout the world with your skippers who maybe throw in a punny joke or two. It's a lot of fun and not necessarily one that everyone can enjoy, but it is a Disney classic. They even made a movie out of it. For theming for Jungle Cruise, surprise, surprise, we went 5 out of 5. It is super involved, very immersive, and there's tons of hidden details and little jokes on the queue and in the ride. Definitely a theming that a lot of people get into, especially because of the punny jokes. For ride systems, we're gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It's just a boat, but there's a lot of animatronics, including some new additions to the ride, like the monkeys on the sunken boat or the explorer team that was chased up the pole by a rhino. For nostalgia, this one is easily a 5 out of 5. Highly classic, very nostalgic, and it's one of the most popular rides in all of Magic Kingdom. I mean, the lightning lanes for it go pretty fast. It's a great choice for rope drop or your first Genie Plus stop because of that. For accessibility, we're giving this one a 5 out of 5 because anyone can enjoy it. For must-do-ness, we're giving this one a 5 because we absolutely consider this one a must-do. I know in my personal life, I love rope dropping this one because it's so much fun, it's silly, and it'll make you laugh. With a bright sun, 130-minute wait, and a backed-up lightning lane, we're at number 4, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is an exciting roller coaster type ride through a swaying mine car in a rolling countryside. You go into the diamond mines of the Seven Dwarfs, and there's some sharp turns and sudden drops. You do need to be at least 38 inches to ride this one, and it is in our top 5. Our theming, we're gonna give it a 5 out of 5. It is heavily themed with Snow White. The attraction is so eye-catching. The building, it's interactive, it's immersive. Even the queue is immersive. And there's callback elements to Snow White's Scary Adventures, which if you're a big Disney fan, you'll know what that is. The ride system, we're also giving a 5. It is a very unique coaster with mine cars. They swing side to side. Plus there's really cool animatronics of the dwarves with projectors on their face, and if you keep your eyes peeled, there's even a kind of scary animatronic of the Wicked Witch at the very end. For nostalgia, another 5. This one's nostalgic because it's Snow White, but it's also the most popular ride in Magic Kingdom. Typical wait time can get pretty crazy, and even while I'm here today, it's 130 minutes. Accessibility, we're gonna drop the score a little bit and give it a 3. Unfortunately, you do have to be able to transfer out of a wheelchair, and there is a height requirement for this one. For must-do-ness, we're gonna give it a 5. I mean, they almost, if it hadn't been for accessibility, this one would have won out. Because this one is considered absolutely a must-do. It's the most popular, and if you have kids who are wanting to try coasters, this is a great first coaster outside of BARNSTORMER to give a shot with. It looks like we're getting into those near perfect scores. It's coming down to the nitty gritty now. So that means that all of our science done, everything added up, Seven Dwarfs gets a 23 out of 25. We have now made our way into Liberty Square for the most haunting ride on the list, and our number 3 ride on the list, Haunted Mansion. For theming for Haunted Mansion, we're gonna give this one a 5. This is one of the best themed rides of all time. We are not just saying that, it's true. There's hidden details, special effects, before you even get into the ride. It's all throughout the queue. It's really, really impressive, and the building is incredibly interactive as well. The ride system and technology are a 4 for this one. The ride system here uses the Disney Omni Mover with a ton of old but still pretty good effects, like the ballroom, the hitchhiking ghosts, and the bride. For nostalgia, we're also giving this one a 5 because this one is highly nostalgic and popular. This is one of the OGs here at Walt Disney World, so people really love it. For accessibility, we're giving this one a 4 because you must be able to transfer into that dark ride, but other than that, anyone can enjoy. For must-do-ness, we're giving this one a 5 because we think Haunted Mansion is absolutely a must-do, and it is one of our favorites in the park because of that. Haunted Mansion gets a hauntingly, I'm raising my eyebrows, a hauntingly good score of 23, putting it in the 3rd spot. I cannot lie to you guys, I was pretty surprised when I saw that number 2 had beat Haunted Mansion. We are down to 2 rides, and so for number 2, we are here in Fantasyland again for Peter Pan's Flight. Let's break down why it's number 2. I was a little bit surprised to see this one this high. First off, you have to go with theming. Theming, no question for us, was a 5 out of 5. The theming on this one is so involved. Everything about it, the ride building, the ride itself, even the queue, it's so deeply themed. And I think it has one of the most impressive interactive queues in all of Disney World. So for the ride system, we're also giving this one a 4, which I was a little bit surprised by after our team kind of came up with the number. It's a classic dark ride, but there's the added interest that you're hanging from the ceiling and it feels like you're flying, which is crazy. And the fact that this is an older ride and that the system still holds up is super impressive to us. For nostalgia, this one is a 5 out of 5. It's highly nostalgic and popular. It does also have some of the longest lines in Walt Disney World because of that fact. For accessibility, it's losing one single point because you have to be able to walk yourself to get on the ride. You have to be able to transfer out of that wheelchair, but other than that, anyone can enjoy it. For must-do-ness, we also think this one is a 5 out of 5. It's a classic, absolutely. Our team thinks this one is a must-do. We finally made it to #1 on our list, and no, Quincy didn't choose it. It just worked out this way. Did you guess that it would be Pirates of the Caribbean in the #1 spot for the best ride in Magic Kingdom? I don't know that I guessed it when I first started this journey, but it makes complete sense, and we're gonna break down why. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride is a slow-moving boat ride that takes you through the journey of Jack Sparrow as he tries to find the treasure, and you get to watch his antics along the way. Theming is 5 out of 5. It is unbelievably immersive theming. You feel like you are stepping back into the past, plus there are hidden details and classic elements on this ride, especially if you're a Pirates of the Caribbean fan. Ride tech, 5 out of 5. It is a boat, but there's elements of thrill. You have a small little drop. There's classic and historic animatronics, plus new ones. The smells, the water effects, I mean, the whole shebang put together is just amazing. Nostalgia is also 5 out of 5. This one is super nostalgic and iconic. It is a beloved ride, and there's a highly successful film franchise based on the ride. The only place they're missing a point is for accessibility. You do have to be able to transfer out of your wheelchair, so they lose a point for that one. But other than that, it's pretty good. For must-do-ness, 5 out of 5. This is perhaps one of the most must-do rides in all of Disney World, in our opinion, because it is such amazing theming. The ride is cool, the nostalgia is there, and almost anyone can enjoy it. So 5 out of 5 for must-dos. With a near perfect score of 24, Pirates takes it home. I mean, there's no debate. Pirates is the #1, and when you take into all of the factors that we've talked about today, and you've gone through as much as you and I have gone through, it makes complete sense that Pirates would be the #1. No surprise, Pirates. Quincy, this one's for you, I guess, in particular. Wow. Okay, that was it. That was the entire list. We made it. I'm dying to know what you guys think. So please go comment. Did you guess the #1 spot? Did you think it would be Pirates? Because I have to say, you guys on AllEars.net, you like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's one of your favorites. If you didn't think that Pirates would be the #1, what do you think should be the #1? If you liked this video, go like and subscribe. Now go watch me, Fry Bucket, and Quincy have the best day ever in Magic Kingdom. I'll see you there.